painting with Megan Mossholder. First thing that you do, class, is you pinch the string between your fingers and you roll it as you use your sponge brush and move it up and down the string, thereby fully coating the string in as much pigment as necessary. If you don't do this, then it won't actually get completely coated and it will look like carpet.
Before now, I sort of saw her pieces more as sculpture in space, and now I see it as a painting. It's proper painting, and the weaving is just how we get to that part of it. So I really have to say that it has definitely affected how I see negative spaces within the built architecture that we create.
Pittsburgh chose me. It's the opportunity, and then of course, especially in the beginning, I was applying to everything. I was looking for anything and everything, especially if I had a little bit of money with it, because I was desperate. I never thought that I would end up working in that city. I'm really glad that I have, though. I think it's a really cool city. And I think that that's one of the things that I'm blessed with, is the ability to be able to travel and spend a month or two in a city that I'm unfamiliar with. And a lot of creatives live because it's not as expensive as, say, Atlanta or New York City. So it's easier to be an artist there. There's community there. I feel like it's just a really artsy city. They find a lot of pride in being Andy Warhol's hometown, and they're kind of really invested in the arts stuff, which is not always the most common. Megan Mossholder, and I'm an artist.
My name is Lucas Rushlow, and I am an assistant to Megan Mossholder. I met Megan through my friend Matthew Maher. Megan was looking for assistance on a job, and so he pulled me in.
Lucas is driven, very talented, really smart.
This team itself came to be probably shortly after Woodruff. This collective at its core has been together for a couple of years now.
I told Lucas I was looking for people who had construction knowledge, and he brought both Jimmy and Asa.
I'm here mostly, for time management and building. Anything that needs to be built, I can build it, or I can tell somebody how it needs to be built.
So this crew was based on the crew that I had for Skylark, because they gelled so well.
I think everyone really has worked as a team throughout the project. Everyone knew the project would get done no matter what, because everyone was really capable and just willing to, work through those hiccups to really make it all come together.
I think that Megan's art, the parabolas, reminds me of bridges, and I think that that's appealing to Pittsburgh, because it's not a bridge, but it's beautiful and colorful. Definitely on the way up, I was kind of wow, I'm gonna be working for like in a Google headquarters. That's crazy.
I originally started working with nylon, which is really stretchy. Nylon mason twine, which masons use to build, plumb lines to create the straight brick walls. So it has to be stretchy, but it also has to be really strong. But I recently realized with the exterior installations that polyester actually holds its shape longer. So I wanted to switch out the nylon. I wanted the piece to just match. It needed to be fresh, and I felt that leaving it as it was could possibly detach it from the rest of the installation, could possibly start losing some of its shape because of the nylon, lots of different things. The Google story is interesting. They approached me late 2015. I have a friend who is an architectural designer at Perkins Eastman. We met in school. We met at Savannah College of Art and Design. And when they started looking for an artist to do a better job of articulating this web-like structure, And I just happened to have a show up in Pittsburgh. So she showed them my work, and then they went and looked at it. And the combination of, being able to see it in person, and then I photograph well, Google was interested in working with me, but I had to sell them on it. I had to, they said they wanted something that had to do with chaos theory and bioluminescence. Not only the tensile parabolic structures, but the neon quality that the black light brings, and then also the fact that it's hand painted, and then finally the transformative nature of the work, which they're just starting to discover, which I think is interesting. Those are the things that was the hard yes for me, I think. My work I'm obsessed with straight lines, to be quite honest, but it's beyond that, because not only am I obsessed with straight lines, I'm obsessed with the way that straight lines could create curves. It's an algebraic expression, actually, and I'm not a math person, but it's basically the equivalent of y equals x squared. You're basically working on the x and y axis, and then it's like using straight lines throughout the grid is what causes that curve. It's an obsession that I thought I'd be done with, but I think that I'll be messing around with Paratolas for the rest of my life.
This project is larger than anything, that I've ever worked on personally. I work on much smaller scale, and so this was, the project on many levels was like about reaching outside of myself and stretching, and it's been real inspirational, and I think everybody has felt that way.
I mean, I always tell people that I'm a large-scale installation artist. That's how I start. Installation art is where you activate the entire space of the rooms, focusing on specific elements to then pull them out. I use my straight lines to articulate things in space that I find interesting, because I'm also a site-specific artist. That means that I make work about the place that I'm in.
My name is Caleb Brown from Atlanta, Georgia. I met Megan through Lucas.
Lucas has been like my person in so many ways. Like I would be like, Lucas, I have this job, I need people. So Caleb was one of those people. Caleb is an artist. He's a really talented artist. He's very driven and focused on what he's making. He's just a deep thinker.
My first impression of Megan, I guess, obviously given what she's been through, the fact that she was just like being a badass was really cool and inspiring. Like Jimmy's really good with construction and everything, and he's kind of like leading the team. I know he's always good with like figuring out problems on that end, and the string and all that. Like I've worked with her a few times. Lucas has, Asa, like Roy. We've been with her long enough to kind of know that part. So
the beginning started in France. I was attempting to impress my mentor, so she would remember that she said yes to an internship in Brooklyn. And I found a large pile of white pumice rock in France and a spool of thread. And I started wrapping the rocks, and I really liked the way it looked. And then it turned into this huge thing. It was really successful in a lot of different ways. And I felt like as an artist that I finally figured out what I do, And then when I got back to school from France, I was dealing with some stuff, and I was making these barriers, basically, force fields made out of string in my studio, so I could be shielded from what was going on around me. And then I was working on my thesis. I was really working to articulate what I was building as a site-specific installation artist, and that made me think about how I was making the work. The wrapping of rocks, or any kind of object for that matter, was not feasible because I gave myself tennis elbow in the process of wrapping hundreds of rocks. Lots of professors and professional artists suggested that I needed to figure out a way to streamline it so I could build a portfolio, because in the beginning I had no money. So that was the other reason why I was working with string, or started working with string, because it's small and compact. And you could stick a spool of string in a suitcase, but then once you get to wherever you're going, you can make this giant structure out of that string. That's kind of how it started, and it's what's happened now, especially post-accident. Now I am designing everything in CAD programs, and working with a crew of assistants to make them come to life. And not only that, it's gone beyond that. Now, I mean, I'm not physically building anything right now, which is weird. I've got all these, I'm working with structural engineers and architects and other artists and my assistants. It's like a huge thing to make these giant pieces come to life.
Couldn't do any of this without Megan. Megan's the driving force. She's the creator. Anything we're doing, I know she could do and would do and has done. Megan's everything. Without Megan, there is none of this.
Megan, I really admire like her. I do think she brings like a certain level of genius to the table in terms of like the way she looks at certain materials and the things that she thinks to do with them.
I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be here for sure and like work on this team and get this project done and like see such a huge piece, come into existence and be part of that has been really, really fun.
I really couldn't ask for a better team to work on this with. From my experience, honestly, it seems like literally everyone just did whatever it was that it seemed like needed to be done,
All these different separate eyes looking at it, and from, above, below, all these, it's such a team effort. There was no way, I don't think, this would have gotten done by any one hand.
I love working for Megan. I love being a part of all this and, staying here with everybody. We've all had fun just staying together.
Yeah, and, it's work hard, play hard crew, and it's great.
For me, it means that like Megan is still going. Like Megan is like continuing to build, and I think her work is one, I think it's incredible, and two, I don't think it's fair that she's not able to work on it. So Megan's still here and she's fucking kicking ass.
Glowing bright on a dark horizon. Found a spark, now my heart's ignited. Rising out of the ash and embers. Took a flame and I won't surrender. Watch me now, light in the skyline. Frozen ground, coming to life. I'm on fire. I'll be blazing